see the face, right? Here we go again, guys. Let's get into it.
New trend is sweeping theatre land in the UK and US. Blackout performances are dedicated to black-only audiences. Those who are not black are asked not to buy tickets. The Theatre of Royal Stratford East in London says no one's excluded from attending their new show, Tambo and Bones, but promotional material makes clear that white people aren't wanted at the production on the night in question. Says a blackout night is a purposeful creation of an environment in which an all black identifying audience can experience and discuss an event in performing arts free from the white gaze. So does this mean I can go if I identify as a black man? There would be someone on the woke side who would have, well, they have trouble disagreeing with that, given they believe in limitless self-identity. But it is more importantly, is it ever okay to exclude audiences based on skin colour? What would happen, for example, if it was the other way around? If this was a white-only audience? Well, I'm joined by the Talk TV contributor Esther Krakow and the Black Lives Matter organiser and activist Iman Aiden. It's all right, Iman.
I was just about to say that. What if it was the opposite? You know, if it was the opposite, we will not hear the end of it. Well, let's continue.
Let's try to picture what would happen if I put on a theatrical production in London and it said it was for whites only, or people identifying as white, which is obviously a ludicrous phrase, but you would go nuts. You would say that is blatant racism, segregation, dragged us kicking and screaming back to the dark days of appalling bigotry. You would.
Well, it depends on the context, right?
There's no whites-only audience.
It depends on the context.
No black people allowed. What would you say?
Well, I think you're perfectly right. It would be akin to racists finding more ways to be more racist.
So why is it okay this way around?
Okay, so we have to put it into context. It was 1 out of the 29 shows.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Let's put it into context, Piers. You want to forget about context. Context is everything. It is 1 out of the 29 shows that was targeted towards black people. And at no point did they say certain people were not excluded. In fact, they actually said it verbatim on their website. No one is excluded, and yet you have found racism.
No. I just read the rest of what they said. It's pretty clear. You are not supposed to go if you're not black.
No, please consider booking other dates.
Right, exactly.
I think the context, you're right, the context is important. I think the issue here is when it's talking about sort of, blackouts, and it's trying to gather an audience of black people that they believe have the same experience.
Right. Exactly.
This doesn't transpose the same way it does in the US and the UK, right? A black person in the UK could be black African, black British, black from the Caribbean, right? In the US, the conversation around race is completely different, and that's why it's a problem.
Yes.
Obviously, when you bring this to the UK, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? This is, especially in London, the most multicultural city in the country.
Can you see any merit to it?
Of course not. But that's, I don't even think it makes sense in the American context.
Why is that? If you're talking about safe spaces, because let's just be clear, we're talking about safe spaces.
Because I think
what do you mean safe space? What does that mean?
Okay, so
you wouldn't feel safe if I came along?
No. Again, context. We're talking about a play that was done by black people, for black people, targeted for black people.
So what?
1 out of the... Again, let's just be clear, because you're clearly not getting this message. It is basically akin to the disabled community putting on 29 shows, and 29 shows about disabilities, and then one of those shows is targeted towards the disabled community. That is what it is akin to, and yet you have a problem. Why is that, Piers? Have you genuinely asked yourself why it's different between disabilities or disabled community or Jewish, but when it comes to black,
my problem is that you have already conceded that if it was the other way round, and this was a whites-only night of this theatrical performance, you would say racist. And that's my problem.
Safe spaces.
It's the
black
double
people
standard.
are disproportionately affected by racism, so therefore it's about safe spaces. This play is about racism.
I already noticed so far, if you guys haven't noticed, she keeps cutting off both of them. She cut the lady off rudely. You guys noticed that, right? But just like Morgan said, what if it's the other way around? All right, we know context means a lot to a lot of things, right? But what's the context to this? If it's the other way around, we won't stop talking about how racist it is. For some reason, every time something's the opposite, it's like black people can't be racist. That seems racist. Racist is white people act as only white people can be racist. Racist can be in any race, doesn't matter what race. And just like the other lady was saying, yeah, she's right. In Trinidad, when I grew up, you never heard about racism. Yes, there was discrimination between the Caribbean Indians and blacks. Yes, there was. But we never heard of the extent of racism like the way you're hearing it right now in the U.S.
We should have a safe space for black people as we are disproportionately affected by
patronising
racism.
them?
I don't think
No,
you
it's
tackle.
not.
I
You
don't.
wouldn't say that to a woman.
No.
You wouldn't say that to
Yes,
a
I
woman when she
would.
was talking about abuse and therefore she wanted and they wanted and she wanted
All right,
a safe
let Esther
space.
respond.
No, I'm sorry.
You wouldn't say that.
The idea of safe spaces and black people needing safe spaces is
When
extremely
talking about
patronising.
racism. But when talking about racism,
Okay,
Let her
but
finish.
what about
It
Asian?
isn't.
What about
It
Asian
isn't.
people? Do Asian people need safe spaces
when
from
talking,
racism?
when talking
No,
about
do Asian
racism,
people?
when
No, but
I'm
come
answering
on,
your
but we don't
question.
have this
When
conversation.
talking about,
Let Esther finish.
No, she just asked me a question, so I'm answering it. When talking about Asian racism, I think they deserve a bit of a safe space. When they're
From
talking
who?
about
From-
their
from
own
who?
experiences,
From black people or from white
all,
people?
From all types of people that are going
Really?
to
All right, let
promote
Esther-
judgment,
Esther.
because it's about being free of judgment.
Esther, let me
I'm
ask you.
sorry, I
Esther,
think
let me
free
ask
of
you.
white
Hang-
judgment,
Mark,
free of
Mark,
Asian
Mark,
judgment,
let
free
Esther-
of all types.
Let somebody
of
else speak,
judgment.
please.
Exactly. Let her speak. She just keep. You see, she was talking over her. Why is she being so rude? Safe spaces, free of judgment, free of Asian judgment, free of white judgment. We judge each other more than any other race. You will see people making fun of other black people because their skin tones, or how black the other person is. Oh, I'm light skinned. You're black. You're charcoal black. Like, are you serious? We discriminate ourselves and we judge ourselves more than any other race. Oh, you a broke N-word. What? Is she? No, she's being delusional and very hypocritical. I have go to school with a lot of people that were very, very dark skinned compared to myself, and other black kids were making fun of them, how dark their skin were. But the white people wasn't making fun of them. What's this? Our own people was making fun of our own people because how dark their skin were. See, people like her, it would spread this unnecessary hatred and false illusion of all this racism.
No, I'm going to.
Or we're going to have a safe space where you get removed so that only I can be heard speaking.
Happily, and I'll say bye to you both.
I will have a one night only Piers.
Happily, I'll say bye to
Only
you both. I'll
Piers.
see you on Saturday. I'll say bye
I'll
to
have,
you.
I'll
and
have
I'll
one
be
night of the
back,
show
no
where
problem.
only I am allowed to speak and you're not allowed to because of your skin colour. How would you like that?
Well, that's called racism.
Exactly.
isn't it?
Exactly my point.
No, it's not. It's
Esther, let me
completely
ask you
different.
this. What would most black friends of yours or family think about this? I mean, in other words, is it something where a lot of black people might go, you know what, actually, I can see some merit to this?
They would see it as an American importation, right?
Does that mean necessarily a bad thing?
I think that it would.
No, it's not.
It would be seen. It would be seen as ridiculous, but ridiculously, particularly American, right? Because black people are not a monolith, which we can all agree on. Black people come from various parts of the world. They have different
But they
cultures.
share similar
This
experiences.
idea that there is a shared black experience,
But they
I think,
share
is
similar-
ludicrous.
but they
Other
do.
than the color
They
of our
do.
skin,
No,
but I
they
don't.
do.
But you have to
you
accept there are many connotations you're adding to
But
that.
by your own
I could
testament,
say
you
that.
said
I
that
could
we
say
have
that
shared
as a black
experiences
person, I
by our-
faced more racism from Asian and Middle Eastern people, so I should have a safe space from those people. Can you even
That's if you want to
identify
be
them?
specific.
No,
If
but
you want
that's
to be
but that's
specific, you have the right to
ridiculous.
I don't think.
You
Okay,
have
let
the
me
right to do
interrupt.
that if you've been
Let me
abused.
speak.
You
I
have the
don't
right
think
to do
any
that,
form of
Esther.
art should ever be exclusionary on the grounds of skin colour, regardless of who it's targeted to or who it's made
We're
by.
talking about race
The
equity.
whole point of art is it should be for everybody.
But we're talking
Yes.
about race equity.
For
in this
everybody.
moment.
No.
Context.
I
please.
don't. No, it's not right. There's nothing racially equal about this.
Piers.
It's racially unequal. You're saying no
Piers.
white people can come.
Context.
It's ridiculous.
What's the play about, Piers?
I've heard your art.
What's the play
It
about?
doesn't matter what it's
Yes,
about.
it does.
It
And
doesn't.
that's your issue. You want to negate context. And
No,
there is no
it doesn't
argument
matter if
from
every-
both of us without context. You know this, and yet you try to negate it.
No,
every
I don't
single
know
time
this.
here.
No, you
Deal
can't-
with the context. And if you can't
All right, she's low key pissing me off. All right, she's low key getting me on my nerve, For some reason, they say white people are racist, but what if there's some people that wants to learn more about Black history and more about Black people? They don't have the right to do that because they are white, because of the skin color. Are we being serious here? Why do we create our own division? You guys noticed that, right? We are creating our own division. Do she really believe what she's saying?
deal with it, don't come with an
You
argument.
can't tell
deal
me.
with the context.
You can't tell me what I'm
No,
thinking.
exactly. But that's
right?
what you do to
Exactly.
me.
Or what my opinion
And that's what
is.
people like you do to me.
People like
and
me?
Yes.
What do you mean
yes,
people like me?
Prejudice. Racially prejudiced people like yourself. That's what you do. That's why we need safe spaces.
You're calling me racially prejudiced.
I've done that several times, Piers. Why are you surprised?
Why are
What's
you
going
saying
on?
that?
Ignorance doesn't actually suit you.
That's ignorant, actually,
No,
what you
no,
just
it's
said.
not. I've
Wow.
just told
I'm
you
not
that
racially
several times.
prejudiced.
Okay,
And what
so
you just said
what's
is very
prejudice,
offensive.
Piers?
And you
What's
shouldn't be saying
prejudice,
that.
Piers, what's prejudice?
Huh?
What's prejudice?
If you're
You've been
racially
learning.
prejudiced, you are a racist.
What's prejudice?
That's what you just called
You've
me.
been learning. What's
I'm not
prejudice?
accepting that. Sorry.
What's prejudice?
Esther, will you go and watch this?
Swiftly
No,
move
but I'm
on.
No, I don't think you should be calling me a racist.
Swiftly move
It's ridiculous.
on. I've done it several times, and yet you have a problem.
then you're
with
wrong
the
every
first time.
time.
I did it last year. You're talking
Well,
about
good
it
for
today as
you.
if it's a new surprise. It's
a-
not.
it's-
I told you last year you were racially
it's a
prejudiced, and I'm telling
lazy-
you again
it's a
today.
lazy
and yet
thing
you
to
have no
say.
argument.
It's a
That's
lazy
your
thing to
argument.
say.
Lazy thing to say. Well done.
Because I'm
Piers.
not
You're doing
racially
well.
prejudiced, never
You're doing
have
well.
been.
What's racial prejudice, Piers?
It's being a
Answer the
racist.
question. Answer the question.
It's judging
And that's
people
what you do.
prejudicially
That's what you
on
do.
their skin colour.
That's what you
Actually,
do.
rather like
That
what
is
this
what
theatrical
you
production
do.
is doing.
That's
right.
what you do.
We're going to leave it there. Thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
She has the nerve to smile on his face at the end. You just call that man a racist without any proof. Where's the proof? You can't just call somebody a racist without no proof. He's talking about equality, and yet you calling him a racist. You see what I'm talking about? She had been brainwashed. It seems like to me, because she really you could feel the energy coming off of her. We create so much division. There's so much hate amongst our own people, black people. You have to learn to love yourself before you can love others or others to love you. If you don't love yourself or your own people, how can you expect others to love you? Or you can see the love from others? That's like how he is saying, right? He wants the equality. Nobody should be discriminated against him going to see it. But yet, you don't see that he wants that unity. But for some reason, you see this division. Like, how do you see division by what he's saying? She was pissed, man. She keeps, and then she's calling him prejudiced. But meanwhile, she's cutting off the black lady. You cutting off another black person that's sitting right next to you. She didn't realize, look how you're treating your own people. She's right next to you. You cutting off. You wouldn't let her get a full sentence in. You're cutting her off. But you want to call him a racist. But you're being very rude and disrespectful to your own people. That's what I'm saying about. We treat each other like crap. But for some reason, we always blame the white man for everything else. Look how she's treating that lady, all rude and disrespectful. All because she wants to get her point across, but she won't listen to her point. That she was very rude. Very, very rude. She's a BLM activist. These are your leaders? These are your BLM leaders? These are BLM activists. Refuse to be understanding, refuse to cooperate, refuse to be professional. She just wants to be rude. She just wants to keep talking. You guys gonna listen to me. Unbelievable. You guys give me a take about this in the comments. I totally agree. Everyone should be able to go and see the film. There's a lot of white people that wants to learn more about black history and a lot more about black people. A lot of white people I know wants unity. But for some reason, a lot of black people keeps creating that division and all this racism. I don't even see it. That's like how she was saying. Can you point it out? All this racism, but you can't point it out. Show us where it is. You cannot show it what it is. You are just being delusional. You're creating an atmosphere for no reason. She can't point it out. That's like a lot of other people. They keep talking about all this racism, but they can't seem to point the direction where there's all the racism coming from. Wow, I would love to have her back on that show. No, I couldn't. She was very rude, very disrespectful for no reason whatsoever. That was uncalled for. There was no reason for that. And she said she called him that in the past too. She said it proudly. Unbelievable, man. These are the leaders of the Black Lives Matter, or the Black Lives Matter community. That. Give me you guys think about this in the comments, man. Until then, I'll see you guys next video. Peace out. You guys have a blessed day.